The moment you explain yourself, something subtle is lost. Not the argument, not the logic, but your position. In ancient Japan, a warrior who explained himself was already retreating, not because he was wrong, but because he no longer stood firmly enough to remain silent. Tonight, we will explore why the samurai avoided explanation, why Miyamoto Musashi despised justification, and why silence, not defense, was considered the highest form of authority. In the modern world, explanation is constant. People explain their choices, their boundaries, their values, their absence, their silence. And yet, the more they explain, the less they are believed. In feudal Japan, the explanation was not neutral. It was a signal. A man who explained himself revealed uncertainty. A warrior who justified his actions showed he was still negotiating his identity. And negotiation to the samurai was a crack in the armor. Bushidō, the way of the warrior, was built on clarity of being, not persuasion. You did not convince others of who you were. You embodied it. Miyamoto Musashi wrote in the Dokkōdō, "Do not regret what you have done. Regret leads to explanation. Explanation leads to weakness." The warrior did not seek to be understood. He sought to be aligned. Musashi lived as an outsider. He dressed poorly. He broke etiquette. He offended refined warriors, and he never explained himself. When others criticized his appearance, he remained silent. When rivals mocked his methods, he did not defend them. When society judged him as crude, he did not correct them. Because Musashi understood something most never learn, explanation invites judgment. Silence ends discussion. In duels, Musashi would arrive late, not to provoke, but to unbalance. His opponents would fume, their minds would race, they would demand reasons. Musashi gave none. The man who needs to explain is still reacting. The man who does not has already chosen. Consider a man we will call Haru. Haru was competent, quiet, disciplined. But he carried a habit he never questioned. He explained himself. At work, he justified decisions before they were challenged. In relationships, he clarified intentions before silence could speak. When setting boundaries, he softened them with reasons. He believed the explanation was respect. He believed clarity prevented conflict. Instead, it invited it. People debated him. They negotiated his limits. They dismissed his choices as flexible, because explanation signals availability. In Zen, there is a saying, "When you speak, you lose." Haru spoke constantly and lost ground each time. Zen Buddhism values directness without excess. A Zen master does not overanswer. He responds only what is required, sometimes nothing at all. Why? Because words multiply the ego. Every explanation is an attempt to control perception, to manage how others see you, to secure approval. The samurai rejected this. They trained in Ma, the space between things, the pause, the silence. In that space, authority grows. A man who does not explain himself communicates, "I am not uncertain. I am not asking. I do not require agreement." Silence was not emptiness. It was containment. Samurai etiquette was strict, but not verbose. One bow replaced many words. One action replaced explanation. If a boundary was crossed, the response was immediate, not verbal. To explain was to tolerate. Bushidō demanded decisive action, not narrative. Haru began to notice this difference. The most respected people in his life spoke the least. They did not announce standards, they lived them. They did not explain absence, they were simply unavailable. They did not justify refusal, they declined. No anger, no story, no defense, just stance. Haru struggled. Silence felt dangerous. What if people misunderstood him? What if they assumed the worst? But Zen teaches, let misunderstanding exist. The need to be understood is attachment. Attachment leads to suffering. Musashi warned against this. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Approval is pleasure, and explanation is how most people chase it. Haru began to experiment. He stopped explaining small things. He declined invitations without reasons. He made decisions without announcing them. At first, anxiety rose, then something else appeared: respect. People stopped debating Haru, not because they agreed, but because there was nothing to negotiate. Silence closed the door explanation had left open. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. In martial arts, stance communicates readiness before movement. In life, silence communicates finality before argument. The samurai understood this instinctively. A warrior who spoke too much was watched carefully. Words revealed intention. Silence concealed strength. Explanation is often disguised fear. Fear of being disliked. Fear of being misjudged. Fear of standing alone. The samurai trained to stand alone. Musashi wandered Japan without allegiance. He owed no explanation because he owed no attachment. Zen monks shaved their heads not to explain humility, but to remove the need to explain identity. Haru realized every explanation he gave was a request for permission, permission to be himself. This is not about rudeness, it is about non-negotiable identity. The samurai did not explain their code, they lived it. The discipline is simple but difficult. Do not explain decisions already made. Do not justify boundaries already drawn. Do not narrate your values. Do not defend silence. This is elimination, not addition. Removing the explanation removes noise. Noise weakens presence. There will be resistance. People accustomed to your explanations will push harder. They will demand reasons. They will provoke a reaction. This is the test. In Zen archery, the arrow is released only when the body stops interfering. Silence is released. Haru held his ground. He did not argue. He did not persuade me. He did not retreat. And something shifted. Those who respected strength adjusted. Those who sought leverage disappeared. This is natural. Near the end of his life, Musashi retreated into solitude. No public defense. No legacy management, no clarification of meaning, just principles. One of them stands above the rest. Do nothing which is of no use. Explanation, when unnecessary, is useless. It serves ego, not truth. The samurai did not seek to be understood. They sought to be aligned, prepared, and immovable. In a world addicted to explanation, silence is discipline. In a culture of justification, restraint is power. You do not need to explain who you are when your presence already answers the question. Stand, decide, act, and let silence finish the sentence.